If I said I'd give you $10,000 if you made no unforced errors in 30 minutes of tennis, could you do it? Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to. If you want to become a consistent tennis player, there are three main enemies that you have to defeat. Number one is, of course, the net. Number two, the lines. And number three, and most importantly, it's our mindset. When we step on the tennis court, if our goal is hitting winners, hitting flat shots, looking good, we're going to have to accept we're going to make a lot of unforced errors. That's just part of the game. The players who are the most consistent maybe won't look the nicest, maybe their shots don't impress the audience, but those are the players who win the majority of matches because they break down their opponents. And if you want to be the player who is the consistent player, then this video is for you. So step number one to becoming a consistent tennis player is your mindset. When we step on the court, if our goal is to become consistent and our goal is to stay consistent throughout the course of a practice, throughout the course of a match, then our mindset has to be locked on. My focus has to be on, I'm not going to break down. It all starts with having the right mindset. When I step on the court, if I'm relaxed and I don't care about making unforced errors are going to be a major part of that session. I'm just going to break down very often because I'm not focused on keeping the ball in play. Whereas if I step on court and my main goal is I'm not going to break down, I'm going to keep this ball in play, whatever that means. If I have to dink the ball in play, I'm going to get that ball in play. By having this focus on keeping that ball in play, you'll straight away become more consistent because you'll eliminate those silly mistakes that we often make, especially when we're relaxed. So the next time you play tennis, go onto the court and focus solely on one thing, keeping that ball in play. Whatever that means for you, if you feel like your backhand, you can't drive it as well as you normally do, slice the backhand. If you feel like your forehand, you're not hitting through the ball, brush the ball more, create more topspin. Focus more on what you're doing well on that day, which will aid you in being consistent. The second step to becoming a more consistent tennis player is to eliminate enemy number two, which is the net. Now, if we play low, if we play very flat, and if we're going for high risk shots, we're going to hit a lot of balls in the net. And in my opinion, hitting the ball into the net as an unforced error is one of the worst mistakes we can make in tennis, if not the worst. So how exactly can we eliminate the net? Now, if we look at a player like Rafa Nadal, who plays so high over the net on clay especially, this is a great example. This is someone that we can follow even on hard courts or even on grass courts. We don't have to play with 3 or 4 net levels, but we can play with a little bit of margin over that net. We want to eliminate the net by lifting the ball over that net. It's like we're taking it completely out of play. This means that when you're doing a normal rally shot, especially in the building phase of a point, we want to play with around 2 net levels. So if the normal net is 3 feet, my ball should be traveling around 6 feet. This will ensure that even under pressure, and even in those moments when I start going for more power, I still have a bit of margin over that net. So how can we lift that ball? Now, there are 2 main ways. We can open the strings, and this will allow me to then clear that net, but the ball is going to be floating. It's going to be very easy for my opponent, if they're a good player, to attack me and kill that point. I can also lift the ball by creating that low to high swing path. So by getting the racket head under the ball level, this will allow me to then brush that ball lift that ball by creating more trajectory over that net, and this will help me then eliminate the net. So I want to focus on getting my racket head below that point of contact, and at the point of contact I'm brushing up, creating that low to high swing, which will then help me lift that ball over the net. Another way to eliminate the net is by hitting mainly cross court, especially when we're building the point or we're defending. Now, if I'm attacking a short ball, I may go down the line. But in general, if I want to become a consistent player, I have to master that cross court rally ball. By going cross court, 3 things happen. Number 1, I'm hitting into the most amount of space. so I have the most amount of space to miss by. If I hit the ball slightly late, the ball will go into the middle of the court. Whereas if I hit down the line and I hit the ball slightly late, the ball's in the tram lines. Number 2, we're going over the lowest part of the net. In the middle of the net is 3 feet. And at the single sideline, the net is 3 feet and 6 inches. So a full 6 inches higher if we go down the line. And number 3, by going cross court, I also reduce the amount of space to recover. And the third way that we can become a more consistent tennis player is to eliminate the lines, enemy number 3. Now, if I'm constantly trying to hit the lines, trying to paint those lines, I'm going to hit a lot of unforced errors. That's part of the game. Whereas if I aim inside the court and I give myself a couple of feet away from either line, then this will help me eliminate the lines. I can also eliminate the lines by increasing the amount of spin on the ball. This means either top spin or underspin if I hit a slice. This is why by hitting with more topspin, you can become a very consistent player, because firstly, you're lifting it over the net, you can play with more net clearance, and secondly, then the ball dips before the lines. So it's the perfect solution to defeating enemies 2 and enemies 3. Now on the serve, what does it mean to be consistent? If we're going for consistency, try to use the 1.5 serve. This is between the first serve and the second serve. You're not going for a massive flat first serve, and you're not going for your normal second serve that you know you're going to make. You're going for something in between. This means you're trying to go with more slice or even a little bit of kick on that first serve, but you're still going with a fast racket, but the goal is to eliminate the net firstly and then eliminate the lines. We're going for the larger targets. That means I'm not trying to hit the tee. I may go for somewhere here, a couple of feet inside either of the lines. My focus here is on hitting a high percentage of first serves in. I want to feel that I'm getting around 80% of those first serves in, which will then reduce the pressure on that second serve. Very often I see players who break down trying to be perfect. They're trying to hit the perfect shot. They're going for the depth. They're going for very low height over that net. They're focusing so much on what they're doing with the swing, they forget to actually think about the ball and where they're aiming. Now allow yourself the luxury to be free on the tennis court, to play within yourself. You don't have to hit the ball right inside the line. You don't have to hit the ball 2 inches over the net. You can play with more margin. You don't have to hit the ball at full power. You can play at 60% of your pace. And you don't have to have the perfect technique on every stroke. Yes, of course, we want to have ideal technique, but if I'm out of position and I'm on the full stretch, I don't have to focus so much on my technique. I have to focus more on getting that ball in. If that means slicing it, if that means dinking it back in, whatever that means for you as a player, allow yourself that freedom. Don't feel like you have to be perfect, and don't feel like you have to hit the perfect shot time and time again. The main goal here is to keep that ball in play. If I hit 6 balls in court and my opponent hits 5 balls in court, I'm going to win. Isn't that right? I've seen many players in my lifetime who look very good technically. They hit the ball really clean. They look like $1 million when they're hitting the ball. But they're very inconsistent. They make a lot of unforced errors. And on the flip side of that, I've seen players who really look pretty ugly, yet they've kept the ball in play time and time again, and they win a lot of matches by being consistent. And that's simply from their laser focus. Their goal is, whatever it takes, I'm going to keep this ball in play, and I'm going to make this player break down before me. Now, by being consistent, I don't mean that you have to slow down your racket. In fact, if anything, we're going to speed up the racket because we want to produce more topspin, or if we're trying to slice that ball, we want to produce more underspin. What we want to avoid is trying to guide that ball in play. Because if I'm guiding the ball, I may be consistent, and yes, I may beat players who are around the 3.5 or 4.0 level, but as I progress and as I start playing players higher up on the tennis ladder, they're going to destroy those balls. So we want to be consistent, but we also want to be consistent in a way that allows us to win against the higher level players. This means that I can still go for my forehand. I can still really rip that ball, but I'm doing it in a safe way by applying a lot of topspin and by lifting that ball over the net. Now, to train this consistency, one of my favorite drills is the punishment drill. This is where you're rallying, or in my case, I'm playing against the ball machine, and every error that I make in the net equals 10 press-ups. Every error I make when I hit it long or wide equals 10 jumping jacks. Now, if you do this for 20 or 30 minutes, and if you make a lot of errors, you're going to have a real workout on your hands. The goal here, of course, is to keep that ball in play and do as few press-ups and jumping jacks as possible. We can also improve our consistency by focusing more on our footwork. This means that I'm split stepping on time. This means that I'm getting behind the ball so that I'm in the right position. All of the other things we've covered in this video won't work if you're not in the right position. So we have to be intense with our footwork. We have to make sure that we're in the right position to actually set up to hit that ball. So working harder with your feet will help you to become a more consistent tennis player as well. It's now time for ice cream, buddy. Shall we go and get some? Good lad. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, of course, and make sure you turn on that notification bell. If there are any lessons you'd like to see from us in the near future, leave a comment down below and we'll film the top suggestions. Signing off, Coach Simon here from Top Tennis Training and Leon the Lion. Bye bye everybody.